Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon. TCGs, or trading card games, have had a lot of ups and downs over the past 30 years. With tens of millions of players, TCGs has gone from a supposed children's toy to a huge investment, with cards going for millions of dollars, ranking up there with other collectibles like baseball cards. In fact, not long ago, a one-of-one Lord of the Rings card sold for $2 million to Post Malone. But Jumbo, you might be thinking, this is a video game channel. What do card games have to do with video games? Luckily, there's a loophole. And who doesn't love a good loophole? Unless you don't know anything about TCGs, you probably know that there are many card games that can be played on your phone or computer. In fact, Pokemon, Magic, and Yu-Gi-Oh! All have multiple versions of their games that can be played digitally. With Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Even having story-based games centered around their TCGs going back 25 plus years. Yu-Gi-Oh! Goes back to the 90s with games like Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories for the PlayStation, and Pokemon goes back to a similar time period with Pokemon Trading Card Game for the Game Boy. However, after 30 years and many, many games, you might be thinking, what does this have to do with today? Well, besides the fact that TCGs, both physical and digital, are awesome games of strategy that I recommend to anyone with a passing interest, I have recently added 3 games to my repertoire that I'd like to talk about for a bit. 2 of them being actually new, and the third being around for years now. We also may talk a little bit about other games along the way, depending on how the story takes us. So right off the bat, I'm going to talk a bit about my history with TCGs. Like many people around my age, as a wee little lad, I loved to collect Pokemon cards. My mom would take me and my siblings to Toys R Us, and we would each get a pack or 2. Although we had no idea how to play the game, it was still so exciting to compare what we pulled. I even had a little price guide that I looked through, even though I wouldn't even know where to start to sell the things. Eventually, nearly 20 years later, I would actually learn how to play the game and have made some of my best friends through it. Next up, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! So, unlike Pokemon, as a kid, I actually knew how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Although I really had no idea what I was doing outside the absolute basics. I never had a meta deck or anything like that. I just loved playing cool cards just like the anime, which I also loved and still love to this day, just like I love the Pokemon anime. Congrats to Ash for finally becoming the champion. I also picked up Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, but never really felt as comfortable as I did with Pokemon. Just as well though, the game is just too expensive for my blood. At least it was at the time when I stopped. Lastly, we have the granddaddy of this genre as a whole, Magic the Gathering. Now, unlike Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, I don't have a lot of experience with Magic. I've had a couple decks and I know the basics, but I just haven't gotten super invested in it. Mainly because it's just way too expensive, even compared to Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially since I already play Pokemon competitively. I've also played a few more TCGs, such as Vice Wars, I think that's how you pronounce that, and the recently released One Piece game. But what about video games? What about online TCGs? Well, starting out, the big 3 all have at least 2 ways to play. I've played a little of all 3, definitely putting the most time, just like IRL, into Pokemon. I've also put a decent amount of time into Gwent, which I really like and I think is the best looking card game period. But what I put the most time into by far is Marvel Snap. Between Steam and mobile, I probably have around 1,000 hours, which is by far the most time I've put in any game ever. I love Snap and play it almost every day. The small decks and the quick format allow you to play matches pretty much anywhere. Also, the location mechanic, which changes up every game, alongside constant updates like new cards, ensures the game doesn't get stale. The art is also great, and because of this, I've spent by far the most money on Snap than any other online card game. Dan Hipp is my personal favorite artist of any of the cards. If you play Snap, Let me know your favorite artists in the comments. So, earlier I mentioned I was playing 2 new games and 1 game that was new to me. Those games are Pokemon TCG Pocket, The Bazaar, and Clash Royale. First up, we have the game I'm most familiar with, Pokemon. Coming out in late October, Pokemon TCG Pocket has unsurprisingly been a hit. Pocket isn't a one-to-one copy of its IRL counterpart. You have much fewer cards in your deck, and there are no face-down prizes to take when you knock out a Pokemon. Its only real problem is, just like many card games, it ain't exactly free. While you get a free pack every so many hours, it would take an eternity to make a good deck this way. Unlike IRL card games, you can't just buy singles. In fact, the only online card game I know where you could do this was actually Valve's Artifact, which died immediately. It's a shame because I actually kind of liked Artifact, and I actually own every card because they got so cheap, and I thought maybe it would come back, so I bought them. Anyway, the real problem with Pocket is, unlike Marvel Snap, you don't start out with a set of decent cards. So, while I like Pocket because it's basically Pokemon and I love Pokemon, I don't think I could really recommend it. It also doesn't help that I don't really like playing games on my phone, with a few exceptions. Next up, we have by far the oldest of the 3 games, Clash Royale. Made by Supercell, the team behind Clash of Clans, which is apparently still a game, Clash Royale came out in, holy shit, it came out in 2016. I was definitely not expecting that it came out that early. That's nearly a decade ago. But I guess Clash of Clans has been around forever now, so I guess it kind of makes sense. Anyway, for years I've tried off and on to get into Clash Royale, and to be fair, I never really put much effort into it. However, recently I put a bit more time and a little bit of money into it. I know, it's pay-to-win trash, and I'm a loser. And while I'm enjoying my time with it, number 1, I can definitely see the points of those who say it's pay-to-win. And number 2, it's more complex than I thought it would be. It took me way longer than I'm willing to admit to learn how to evolve a card. Overall, though, like I said, I'm enjoying the games I play here and there, despite its pay-to-win nature and unnecessary complexities. Finally, we come around to the new kid on the block, The Bazaar. Launching into paid beta on October 30th this year and coming out to everyone in December, The Bazaar has been described as a PvPvE Slay the Spire like auto battler, which, if you know anything about me, you know I was in on day 1. It even has a Hearthstone-esque aesthetic, which I love. All that to say, I absolutely suck at this game, and I think I might be getting worse. I won one of my first several games outright, and I don't think I've won one since. Of course, they could be doing the thing that Fortnite does with bots, but I think that might be kind of weird with closed beta. Anyway, the point is, I am god-awful. I win a few rounds here and there, but that's about it. That being said, I really like the game. The look and sound, the mechanics, and maybe most of all, the fact that you can play it on your own time. What I mean by that is that you can walk away mid-game and come back, because while it is PvP, it's not live. The game grabs the board state of a random player and matches you against them whenever you get ready. It's fantastic, and I hope other games take this idea and run with it. So, now that I've played these 3 new games, has Marvel Snap been dethroned as my favorite? Well, for now at least, Snap is my favorite online TCG, and Pokemon is still my favorite in-person TCG. Although I'm always interested in trying new games, so feel free to leave recommendations in the comments. And I think that's just about going to do it for today's video. Let me know your thoughts on card games in the comments below. And if you like these kinds of videos, make sure to leave a like and a subscription. I hope everyone has a great day, and I will see you guys next time.